That underdog mentality that Ruby Whitehorn said the Lady Vols had entering their game against MTSU, well, it worked to the tune of an 89-75 final in their get-back game over MTSU after losing for the first time ever a year ago in that neutral site game. Coach Kim Caldwell calls it, well, we survived another day, and that's exactly how the team should look at it. Of course, it's a better opponent, so the game is a lot closer. Even when calls or plays weren't going their way, they showed a lot of resiliency, and that's what they should be focusing on. I'm Paige Dower. This is the Field Pass on Full Disclosure. Minutes of this game were not kind to the Lady Vols. They missed their first 5 shots, and it wasn't until the third substitution for the Lady Vols that they ended up finding their first points. It came way of Samara Spencer hitting a triple. But then they had the first media timeout with 4.5 minutes to go. Before that, they were in a 2.5-minute scoring drought, missing or going 1 of 5 over their last 6 shots heading into that media timeout. Out of it, Z Spearman was at the free throw line. She did miss both of her attempts, but what was key here is that she was able to go and get the rebound. She swung it back out to Samara Spencer from the top of the arc, and she sunk another three-pointer. She absolutely had the hot hand in the final minutes of that opening quarter, going 4 of 4 from deep and 13 points. Now in the second quarter, the Lady Vols kind of got back to what we have been used to seeing in this short season and short sample size that we have for the Lady Vols, and that was mostly their pressure defense. They didn't really exercise the press much. It was kind of more so soft zone coverage in the first quarter, but it had a great impact in the second quarter, mostly when Kanaya Boyd and Tess Darby got in on the press and were able to corner the offense really against the sideline. There was one really nice play where both of them got in on the press together, cornered Blakely against her own bench's sideline, and the head coach is standing right there watching it happen. And what does he have to do? He has to call a timeout because there's literally nowhere for Blakely to go. And it was funny looking at Kanaya Boyd as she was looking back at, Blakely and kind of just MTSU. She's like, yeah, that's right. That's what I thought. And it was those kind of plays that really were disruptive for MTSU, because when they got away from that and they played a little bit softer in their zone coverage and in their sets on defense, MTSU just drove the lane the entire time, just absolutely attacked them on these essential line drive layups. And a lot of that, they say, is a miscommunication. They weren't understanding in their roles. But then Coach Kim Caldwell's like, we've practiced that all week long. We spent 3 straight days scouting them and working on those line drive layups and where to guard them, especially deep in the post. And they didn't do that early in the game. She did say that they were better at making adjustments as the game went on as compared to the first 2 games. And I think watching the game back, they'll definitely agree with that, because the first 2 games, it just took forever for them to realize what the mistake was, who wasn't playing in the right role. Here, they're able to make some adjustments a little bit better. Of course, they've got some players, who's like 6'7", and sometimes you're just not gonna be able to guard them. Ruby Whitehorn did have a nice block, and I think Talaysia Cooper also had a nice play on the center as well. But for the most part, if they're not applying the press early and they're leaving the open lane down the middle open, they were exposed a number of times, and that's a huge point of emphasis for this team. Not only the half-court defense, where Coach Kim Caldwell says that she still hasn't seen much that she likes and that there's still so much that needs to improve there. Making adjustments quicker and understanding your roles and exercising those earlier in the game will be so important, because especially when you get the teams that maybe shoot a little bit better or a little bit better at other goal mid-range jumper opportunities, this game could get out of hand quickly. So that is certainly a huge area of emphasis for this team. Probably did foul as much as they said that we fouled, but sometimes there were moments where we're a little suspect, we're a little questionable, or they weren't as efficient on offense as they wanted to. The shots weren't going in even though they looked really good, or they weren't getting the best defensive sets and plays on defense. And what Coach Kim Caldwell says is that they're really resilient. This isn't a group that complains a lot, and that allowed them to kind of, as Josh Heupel will say, snap and clear, next play mentality, and that's essentially what they did this entire game. That's why in the second half you saw such great passing on offense. That was a key point of conversation heading into this game, is that they need to be a little bit better in the passing, and I think that's how they'll settle in on offense a little bit more, when they're not just taking the ball and shooting, but they're passing the ball a little bit more, trying to get the best shot, not just the good shot. And we saw a lot tonight, especially from the perimeter. A lot of great shots came from Samara Spencer, Sarah Puckett, Tess Darby, especially Tess Darby in the final minutes of the game. She absolutely took over. She was 4 from 4 from deep in her final 4 shots. And as she said after the game, she's like, just, shoot or shoot. You got to stay confident. And that's exactly what happened. It's something Sarah Puckett talked about as well with Tess Darby, just having that confidence. And because of that, they've now reset the program record in 3-point attempts. They are now 1 away from the program record in 3-pointers made. The record is 16. They have 15. And after the game, Samara Spencer kind of lightheartedly was saying, like, oh, in the system that we're playing, we're going to take a ton of threes. So I'm not going to be surprised when we break and reset time and time again as the season wears on and as they get more comfortable in the system. So what's important from this game, obviously it's better than the first 2, but it's Middle Tennessee, and they've got the SEC coming up in just a couple of months, and essentially weeks. It'll probably feel like here soon. And what they need to know about how they played in this game is settling in, taking smarter plays on offense. Pressure defense will be your best friend, because we saw kind of what happened towards the end of the game. And just if they can continue to do that, rely on Talasia Cooper and her defense. Samara Spencer needs to continue to take those 3-pointer shots. And if they have confidence, this is going to be a really dangerous team. And, Coach Kim Caldwell says that Novembers are horrendous. I don't see anything horrendous just yet, but another fun, exciting win, 3-0 on the season. As she says, they live to see another day, and they do just that. I'll be back later this week for more on Vol basketball as Rick Barnes and his team takes the court here on Wednesday, so I'll have a post-game report on them coming up later. Also take a chance and, look at other reports such as Boo Carter that I had earlier today. But until then, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, subscribe. I'll have more on fulldisclosurepro.com as the week continues, more recaps and previews, because it is such an active time here on Rocky Top this season. Talk to you later.